Okay, question 3. It says, in this question you must show detailed reasoning, so make sure you do. I'll show you one of the ways that I would do it if I was doing this exam question in an examination setting. So I've written the question out. I'm just going to double check I've not written it down wrong. So it's 2x, f of x equals 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus x squared plus 3. That's all fine. For part AI, we've got to show that f of 1 is 0. Now it's very tricky with a show that question. You have to really make it obvious that you're doing it correctly and you're not just sort of fudging it. So let's just make sure that we're substituting in properly and we're showing what we're doing, because we know our calculator will do this for us. So I'm going to write in 2 times 1 cubed plus 3 times 1 squared minus 8 times 1 plus 3. Now at this point you could type it into your calculator. Let's get the answer is 0, but what I want to do is show the examiner that I understand that I've got to substitute it in and that I do actually get 0. So I'm going to do one more line. So it's going to be 2 times 1, which is 2, plus 3 times 1 squared, which is 3, minus 8 times 1, which is 8, plus 3. And as you can see, that's going to give me 0. So I've just added this extra line in here just to prove that I know what I'm talking about, because obviously the calculator does all the work. It is only a mark, but it's definitely worth making sure you get it. Right, part 2, it wants us to solve the equation f of x equals 0. So what we've got here, and it's expecting you to know that because this is true, that x minus 1 in brackets is a factor of the function f of x. It's always a good thing to write that in words actually. Okay, so actually stating that is where I think you're going to get the first mark from in the question. So that's quite important. You can do it by just showing it later on, but I think it's actually good practice to write it in full like that. So what we're going to do, we're going to need to divide the polynomial by x minus 1. So I'm going to set it up, excuse my wobbly lines. There we go. I'm going to make sure I'm copying the question out correctly again, because we don't want to make a mistake at this point. So it's going to be minus 8x plus 3, just extend that along a little bit, and then we're going to divide it by x minus 1 so that we can fully factorise the cubic, and then once we've fully factorised it, we'll be able to solve it when it's equal to 0. So first step, we're going to do 2x cubed divided by x, which gives me 2x squared. Just notice I put it in the squared place value column, just keeps it a little bit simpler for you. Then I've got to multiply that 2x squared by this entire expression here. So it's going to give me the 2x cubed back again, and I'm going to take away the 2x squared. So in line, I'm going to subtract. So that 2x cubed take away 2x cubed is 0. 3x squared take away minus 2x squared leaves me with positive 5x squared, and then those two other terms get brought down. Okay, let's just move the page up a little bit. And then we do the same, we repeat that step. So we're going to do 5x squared divided by x, which gives me positive 5x, multiply again, 5x squared, and 5x times minus 1 is minus 5x. Draw my line in, subtract. That's going to be 0, minus 8x, take away minus 5x is going to give me minus 3x, and that's going to come down to give me positive 3, and then we repeat one last time. Minus 3x divided by x is going to be minus 3, minus 3 times x, sorry, is minus 3x, and then minus 3 times the minus 1 gives me positive 3, and this is what we were hoping would happen. We were hoping we would get 0 at the end, because then we know we've done it correctly. So this take away this is 0, that take away that is 0. There we go. So next thing to do is to write your function in its factorised form. So this is a factor, we know this, and the other factor, which is hidden at the moment, if I just move the page down a little bit, up I should say, just that way, it's going to be 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 in brackets. And then at this point, what you want to do, is you want to factorise that second part. Now your calculator has a function to do that. You're not getting any extra marks for trying to do it the hard way, although it's good to know how to do it the hard way, but this is one of those times where you want to use your calculator to help you out. So you're going to do x minus 1, this second bracket factorises to give me 2x minus 1 x plus 3, and here are my 3 solutions. So I need to write them as values of x. So x is 1, x is a half, and x is minus 3. Okay, when that equals 0. So I might just put that in there just to show it and make it extra clear. Okay, so where did the marks come from? Let's have a little look back up towards the top of the page. So the first mark I think came from stating that point there, or just dividing by x minus 1. The second mark I believe comes from getting the correct quadratic at that point there. And the third mark comes from getting the correct factors, and then the fourth mark comes from getting the 3 solutions stated really, really clearly like so.